Hello everyone, it is Liam, the Deaf Dude Metalhead, and today is another collection update, but it features cassettes this time because I have a new cassette player up there playing all sorts of magical tunes that I've had for years now, and it's been really nice to just kind of dive back into the cassette format. So this collection update is new and old stuff. It's not all 2023 stuff. I haven't gone anywhere near 2023 yet. Maybe one release out of this stack is a brand new one, but this is a lot of stuff that I've been after for a while, or came out last year and I didn't get around to picking it up. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. So the first one is an American band, a Texas death metal band that I had no idea who they were, and I just blindly bought this out of a UK distro, and it was fucking awesome. So that is the band Church of Disgust with their album The Weakest Is the Flesh. This came out last year through Hell's Headbangers Records. This is their third full-length album. The band formed in 2010 and are a solid, kind of groovy Texas death metal band. You kind of know what you're going to get with Texas death metal. I can name a few and all have a similar trait where the rhythm section's got kind of natural grooves to it. It's ultra heavy. The vocals are quite raspy on this, which I really liked. It had a bit more character to it. I was expecting it to be really low, really guttural, but it's nothing like that. It's kind of got more of a thrashy element to it almost. Some of the songs as well, they kind of mix up in style of death metal. It's fast, brutal, then it's thick, chunky, heavy. You've got a Morbid Angel kind of vibe going on in there as well, with like the soloing and the lead work on there, especially with the dive bombs and that kind of thing. It's got a very Trey Azaroth vibe to it. And yeah, I've had this on quite a lot in the car. Really cool album. Really happy I picked it up because, again, I saw a few people share this on social media last year and I had it in my list and I never got round to it. January, went back to that list, had a look through it, and noticed this was in a UK distro, and yeah, it's fucking awesome. So yeah, well worth checking out. Church of Disgust. Now this one, this would have been in my top 10, even top 5, and it's quite funny, like when you do those end of year videos and then in the new year you look at albums from that year that you didn't get around to discovering, or you didn't even know nothing about, and this is one of them. I had no idea what it was. I saw a chap called Connor Frock. You might know him if you're into kind of doom metal. He's on social media a lot, and he put this in his year-end list, and I had no idea what it was, apart from the picture kind of intrigued me. And that is the band Endonomos. I think that's how you pronounce it. I couldn't tell you what the album's called, so I don't think it has one. And this is just the best Death Doom from 2022. I would actually quite happily say that it is the best Death Doom album, Doom Death album from 2022 that went completely under my radar, and I imagine a lot of people, because this is quite a tricky album to find. Now this is on vinyl, but it was self-released by the band and I couldn't afford it. The shipping kind of put me off, which is unfortunate. But this was also put out through our Grond Records, which you'll see it down there. It's just a small Italian label, and I managed to find it in the UK just randomly, one I was eBaying, and oh, this is so cool. So this is a Swiss band that formed in 2021. This is their full-length debut, and it is doomy death metal with strong links to Ophis and that kind of German scene, I guess, because they're being Swiss, they're not too far away from each other, and it has very much that kind of vibe to it. It's got epic kind of clean vocals in there, but it's got a really strong guttural vocal, which I really like. But what this band are really good at, not only is the production perfect, it's like crisp, it's clear, it's thick, it's heavy, but the guitar work they do, the rhythm stuff, and when you do Death Doom you have a really basic riff, like a Candlemass riff, where it's really simple, and you put a harmony on it. But what these guys do that's really cool is they add an extra harmony on top of that harmony, and you get almost like it sounds like 4 guitars are playing different things at once. That adds this massive sound, and that isn't easy to do when you can write really interesting lead work, which these guys do in abundance. Every song on here is flawless to me. I mean, my favourite is probably Rejoice, because it's got this nice free guitar harmony thing going on, but you know, all of them, Barrier, I mean, all of them are fantastic. So I can't rate this enough, and I will hopefully one day get it on vinyl, because again, this is another one that I've nearly worn the CD out of. It's been in my car constantly. It's been in here when I've been working, that, you know, randomly. That's a thing of the past now, but when it does happen, I like to whack on the CDs and just work away. And yeah, I mean, it comes in this kind of boring digicase thing. It's not anything exciting inside. It's just CDs kind of tucked in there. which is a shame. That's kind of why I want it on vinyl, because it doesn't justify how good the album is. This should be on a big label, and I'm not exaggerating that. You give it a listen below and you tell me, but oh, what a fucking album. So yeah, Endonomos. Need more music from these guys, because that was fucking awesome. Right, what these guys are from Massachusetts. Yeah, so this is a band that put a lot of us, I say older metalheads, I am an older metalhead, I'm in my mid-30s now, and these guys are all under the age of, I think they were under the age of 20, yeah, and they're putting out their second full-length album from last year, and that is the band Wretched Inferno with Cacophony of Filth. This was put out from my favourite UK label, Cavernous Records, along with Frozen Screams Records, out in the States, and this is just nasty, brutal death metal done by lots of young adults that put a lot of us musicians, I say that loosely, to shame, because this is fantastic. I mean, their first album that came out a few years ago, I think 2020 maybe, was really cool, and that really impressed me, just musically how good it was. And I wish I was as good as they were at their age, because I was only just learning to play guitar back then. But this is a step up, it's a bit more filthier, it's a bit more extreme. I mean, the song titles are a bit nastier, they're getting a bit wild with their imagination. But it is good fun, and it is musically really good. It's just solid, old school, nasty sounding death metal, a bit more pace to it. It's got the epicness in there, the drums are, you know, unhinged, he's going fucking full leather on it all. Really organic sound, which I really like. It's not overproduced at all. It's just that kind of nice sweet spot where it sounds like a modern death metal album, but it's got the characteristics of an old school death metal album. And yeah, you can't complain. So if you haven't checked that out, go check them out, because they're a really cool band. And yeah, it floors me every time I hear them, because they just keep coming back with just stronger, more in tune music. Like, they're all in sync really, really well on this album. So yeah, Wretched Inferno. Now these next two are from the same band. This is a band I've listened to for yonks and was on my hit list on Disgust. You know, when you do your want list, I have a massive array of old bands that I've listened to from LimeWire days right through to now. And you know, I try and find them, and then they're impossible, but an eBay seller in the UK had both of these, and I managed to score them for both under a tenner. And that is the band Ablaze in Hatred. Now, this is a Finnish doom death band. Still apparently outgoing, but these are the only two albums they've ever put out. So this is their first full length, which came out in 2006, which is entitled Deceptive Awareness. And then this is my favourite one. And this is the one that got me into the band. This is called the Quietude Plains, which was put out in 2009. These both put out through Firebox Records, which is a Finnish label, and this is a Finnish doom death band. So if you're a fan of Hooded Menace, Solifus, that kind of style, you'll already like these, because they're pretty much identical. But what I really like about these guys is they're more melodic. They've got more emphasis on melody. It's slow, it's doomy, they're not fast at all, there's no speed in any of these albums, but what they do is the melodies, the catchiness to it, and especially on this one, there's so much of it, and the tone of it is really thick. It's got that really guttural Finnish death metal vocal, but there's also female vocals in there, and it's the same with that one really, but this is more of a step up in tone. And yeah, I've been wanting these for years, so I'm really, really happy, especially getting this one, because this was on my hit list for yonks. I think I actually paid for this when I first got into using Bandcamp, when this actually came out, by memory. And yeah, been a fan of it ever since. Well, it might have been Google Play, when I used to use that randomly to listen to music back in the day. So yeah, happy Death Doom Metalhead for having those. So if you haven't checked them out, I'll obviously leave links below, and you can listen to them yourselves. Now these next two were a random gift from Mr. Pieface. I had no idea he was sending these. It's one of those packages where I have to try and explain to my wife that I haven't bought anything, and then I have to find proof to show her, and luckily he leaves notes in his packages, which gets me out of trouble, because it was right after Christmas this turned up, and she's like, "You've been spending money?" I was like, no. But one of them is this album here, which is a really cool compilation that I've known about the band for a fair while, but only by the album covers, never actually listened to them. And this is, I think I'm going to pronounce this badly, but it's Comecon, and this is the Worms of God compilation, which is all three of their full lengths in those black CD sets that Century Media do. I've got a Rune Magic one, of like this style. Well, it's their first 4 albums, I think. And this is great. I mean, I never heard of this band at all. I only knew the album covers, and the booklet luckily explains it, because I knew they were like a death metal band, but I had no idea what kind of style they were or anything like that. I mean, they are an Austrian band that formed in no, I'm talking out my arse. They're a Swedish band that formed in 1989 that disbanded in 95, and their last album was their 3rd album from 95, which is on this compilation. So you got the first one there, which is the debut, and that's solid, no nonsense, Swedish death metal, groovy, fast. I don't think there's a HM2 sound by memory. I think it's just natural sounding death metal with that thrash element to it. And this was the cover I recognised. This is their 2nd album there, which is entitled Converging Conspiracies, which came out in '93. And then Simon did leave on his note, and I haven't got round to it yet, is listening to the 3rd album. Because I went to London the other day with my son. We had the first 2 on in the car, and even my son was like, this is a really good band. But we never got round to listening to that one, which is a shame, which is their 3rd one called Fable Frolic from '95, and then they disbanded. So I might even put this on after this video. He said it was shite, but the first 2 are well worth having. So yeah, really cool Swedish death metal. The band never had a human drummer. A drummer even, so this was all processed drumming, but they used to credit imaginary drummers in their albums, so apparently that's a thing I read up on. That was quite an interesting fact. So all the names credited on any of their albums, the drummer, is fiction. So there you go, Comecon. And the last thing he sent me was something that a few people mentioned when I showed my last collection vinyl update about Tiamat, and that is the early stages of Tiamat, Treblinka. And he sent me this Shrine of the Pentagram, which is like a comp of all their early demos from 87 to 89. And then you got the Sumerian Cry instrumentals and stuff like that, which was the Tiamat debut. And there's also some live footage in Stockholm. I think there's a DVD in here as well. Oh, maybe not actually, no, it's just CDs. But yeah, really, really cool. And it's got a really nice booklet in it actually that described it all. Now he did say he bought this and it was beat up and he was going to replace his original version, but then he decided not to. He sent it to me, and I'm fine with that, because you know the CDs work fine. I mean, most of the time the special edition stuff just goes on the shelves because they look pretty, but I don't really care about them. I just like what I can hear, and musically it sounds brilliant. But what's really cool with this one, it has a whole book inside it that tells you like the history of the band and the formation of it and all the what made them become Tiamat. So that was really cool to read. So it's worth having just for that, because I'm a big Tiamat fan. So thank you, Simon, as always. You always spoil me. And I'll class that as an early birthday present, because I've got a birthday in 2 weeks, so that's quite nice to see that. Now, let's show you some cassettes and then I'll disappear. So I put a little order in with Intuit Records, which is a Dutch label that put out old school death metal, but also released new bands that are in the style of old school death metal. And one of those releases that I was dead keen to get hold of was the band Graceless. And this is a Dutch death doom band, but this is their 3rd full-length album that came out in 2022 called Chants from Purgatory. Now there is a vinyl version from Raw Skull Records that I really would like, but shipping is a bit steep. But tape-wise, this was really, really cheap, and this is done by Intuit Records. And it sounds killer, like, especially with my new cassette player. It sounds absolutely fantastic, so I'm not disappointed having it on the tape at all. Red shell tape, and these guys are a band that kind of in the vein of, if you could compare Asphyx with, I don't know, it's hard to tell. They have their own style in a way, because the Dutch, they do things a little bit differently. They're not ultra guttural, they're kind of like a blackened kind of vibe to them. And that might be because the guy in him there, I don't know if the camera will pick him up, he's also in Soulborn, in, what's that band, Just Before Dawn, what's his name, Kreft, I don't think that's his full name, but that's what he's credited as on there. And yeah, really, really cool. I mean, I've got the 2nd album on vinyl, and I kind of wish I did, but I just can't afford it these days to kind of pay for those kind of shipping prices. Not when you have a mortgage now. So yeah, this is really, really cool. solid, thick, doomy death metal. It's got those big, heavy hitting choruses. The production's massive. And yeah, really, really cool release. So well fucking happy to get that. And it didn't cost a lot either, so well chuffed with that. But what amazed me more is these next two he had in his distro. Now, I saw these years ago when they were re-released. And I thought I'll never get my hands on them because all the time they were put out, I never had the money. And they would sell really instantly. Really instantly, it's good English. And one of them was this split here. So this is a split between Graceless, who I just spoke about, and a Russian band called Grond. I think that's how you pronounce it. They are a band that is been around a while. They've been around a few years actually. And they are a really thick, heavy death metal. And that really surprised me because I had no idea who they were on this split. I never listened to it prior to that. I just knew it had Graceless on it. I liked the cover. I need it in my life. And this was like €5, something stupid like that. And Grond, surprisingly, might be my favourite off the split. It is brilliant. They're a really good band. I hope they're still going. Because they are thick, heavy, the vocals are so guttural in a really cool way. And the songs are groovy, proper death metal, you know, where it's got loads of riffs in there, solos on the spot on, production's massive. So that was a really nice surprise. The shell is a blue one, which goes nicely with the cover. And yeah, really, really cool. There's a cyanide cover they also do on the Grond side. I think the Graceless one's all their own music. They're the bands there. And yeah, this was actually put out through Raw Skull Records, which is the label that do really, really cool, obscure releases, especially the Dutch ones. They're really hard to get anywhere else. They don't have a big distro, they just kind of sell it from their own site, which is fair enough. So yeah, well happy with that. But then the ground resistance for this small little order from Intuit Records was this one. This is another release that I didn't think I'd get. Put out through the label Intuit Records, and that is the Demigod EP Unholy Domain. Now they got rights to sell this or reissue it, shall I say, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and they did a vinyl release, a CD release. But I always wanted it on cassette because it's a demo, and it came out I think like 92. Where did I write it down? 91. So this was originally released in 91. The band formed in 1990, so it's followed the year after. And it's fucking awesome. It's way ahead of its time in sound. Like, you listen to it, the production, everything is perfect for an old school death metal demo. You can hear everything, sounds massive. And I think the full length Sullen Eyes or something like that came out a year after this. There is another EP, I think, by memory. So yeah, shell was just a white with blue. And this has been repressed a few times now. But if you don't know Demigod, they are brilliant Finnish death metal band. One of my favourites. You've got your Sentenced, you've got your can't even get the J card out. You've got your there's loads I could think of. The J card has the artwork come out like that with the Finnish flag. So yeah, and again this was only like €5 as well. Like nothing. And I think they're now sold out. I might have bought the last one, I don't know. So well happy to get that, because I was convinced I wasn't going to make it in time again. So I did message him just to check, and he said no, they're definitely on there. So yeah, well happy with that. So thank you Intuit Records again. They shipped it within 4 days as well here to the UK from the Netherlands. Even though I know Norwich is only like an hour's flight away, still impressed me. So happy days. Right, next one is an American death metal band that everyone was talking about last year, and I didn't check it out until January. And that is Autophagy with Bacteriophage. I don't know if that's correct. Now this was put out through Necrotery Records, I think it is. Yeah, last year. And there's a vinyl version, a CD version, but I found a tape version for like not a lot of money. So I jumped on that. So this band are based out of Portland, formed in 2018, and this is their debut full length from 2022. Cassette looks like that, and it's just good, well written, brutal death metal with a nice thick production. You know, there's so many bands that have that similar style, you could say, but they do it well. And the J card's really cool. If I pull it all out, nice long J card. with a picture of the band, really cool artwork, all the lyrics you want. If you get a magnifying glass, you could probably read them. I can't. And yeah, just solid, absolutely solid, really, really heavy. And it is a band that I can see why people really liked it, because it was really, really cool. Again, I knew nothing about it going in. This was a blind buy, and it was spot on. I absolutely loved it. So if you haven't checked them out, please do. It's a wicked band, and well worthy of a vinyl if you want the vinyl version, because the cassette's cool, but I want to see that artwork bigger. Right, next two are some UK underground proper death metal. This one is only a single, but I haven't shown it yet and I want to pimp it out. Latest Coffin Mulch single, Into the Blood. This is, I believe, going to be featured on the current full length that's coming out this year. And it's got a little glittery cassette, very funky. And yeah, it's just good. Good, solid, old school death metal. Vocals are cavernous as fuck, like really echoey. It's punchy, it's straight to the point, it's simple, and that's what you want in your old school underground death metal. You don't want it overcomplicated. It's to the point, no fucking about. You remember the riff, you remember the chorus parts. It's easy to hum along to. It's just great. Blood Red Shell as well, which is a nice touch. I even got the t-shirt because I'm such a fanboy of that band. So yeah, Coffin Mulch, they are a Scottish band from Glasgow that formed in 2018, I think now, and they've got, that is the second EP. There is an EP prior to that, and then the full length. Well, no, that's an EP as well, actually. So the EP, there's two EPs and a single. But who cares? You know, get the full length out, lads. Lastly, I'm so behind in doing these videos. Right, this is a London-based death metal band. Again, I have no idea who they were. I've seen kind of mentions of them from other UK death metal bands. And I thought I'll keep an eye on it, and then this dropped and I picked it up instantly, and that is Mutagenic Host with the Genotoxic demo, which was put out through Dry Cough Records this month. This is the 2023 release I was talking about. And this is a demo, but it doesn't sound like a demo. I mean, it's a bit naughty because it's very, very well produced for a demo. And I might just be getting on a bit, and I remember recording my demos with my mobile phones and my MIDI track things, but this is done really, really, really well. And it is very chunky, very thick, modern sounding death metal, which was now branded as the new wave of British death metal. And they're another band I imagine will play dozens of shows, and hopefully Consecration can get involved with them. But we might be a bit too unheavy for these lads, because these are very heavy. Really, really cool, very thick, very groovy. It's got that. You can see that why they're friends with Celestial Sanctuary, Vacuous. They've all got that similar vibe where they're bringing ultra heavy death metal with a flair of old school touch, like the Obituaries and that kind of thing. But they have a very much their own identity. And these guys are, you could kind of compare them to Celestial Sanctuary, but the vocals are more guttural. It's kind of, that's the best comparison I can give it for a newer band. And this is only a demo, so by the time you do a full length, it's going to sound immaculate. Because the demo does sound immaculate already. I mean, it sounds better than most albums that come out, to be fair. J card is just words, really. I don't think there's any lyrics or anything like that. It looks like that. And they even thank Tom from Celestial Sanctuary, Vacuous, Archfearonaut. But that's the other reason why I like this band, because it features two members from the Black and Doom band, Archfearfant. I can never pronounce it, but I have about 2 or 3 of their EPs back there, and a split they did, so they're a really cool band. So that's what got my attention in the first place. So yeah, I'll stop waffling now because I've spoken long enough. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think of these releases below. I'll obviously leave links to everything I spoke about. Please like the video as well to tell YouTube I'm alright, and I'll look forward to speaking to you guys in the comment section below. Take care, cheers.